How's it, everyone? Wayne the Unknown here, and welcome back to another episode of Cosplay Con Talk, where we basically discuss everything pertaining to the cosplay community and conventions. I'm joined here with a familiar guest, Colleen Cosplay, in another episode of Get to Know That Cosplayer. And this is Colleen's first time for a solo interview and a cosplayer interview. If you're familiar with Colleen, she's been in such panels as the Safety and Awareness, Disability and Cosplay, and the My First Cosplay Competition. So again, Colleen, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me again.
You're very welcome. So I'm sure you're pretty much familiar with how Get to Know That Cosplayer goes. We'll talk about the cosplays you've done, the cons you've done, some advice, experiences, all that fun stuff. So, to begin, how long have you been cosplaying for? And what was your very first convention?
So my very first convention was in 2012. It was
So
at a
you hit your
yeah.
10-year mark. You're, as I put it, a cosplay veteran.
I mean, I guess so. The thing is, like, I wasn't really cosplaying much then.
Well, it still counts. You've seen how far conventions have come.
Yes, I have seen the Naruto phase and the Homestuck phase come and pass. I've seen it all, guys.
So you've definitely seen your fair share. Do you remember what your very first cosplay was back in 2012?
I didn't cosplay to that con, Ms. Con in Montana. It's hard to say what my first cosplay is because like I dressed up for things, but I didn't call them cosplays. I generally say it was the Flash from DC Comics. My grandma sewed me a little Flash suit. It was super cute.
Oh, that was nice of her.
It was.
Now this was all pre-mobility aids and everything.
Yep. I was still doing karate back then, actually.
Well, remind me never to make you mad then. What was it like cosplaying as the Flash, if you can remember that far back?
I mean, when you're that fresh to the cosplay scene, like, I don't know, everything just seemed perfect. Like, you don't know that there's any problems in cosplay. You're just vibing in your costume. And I even wore that costume literally to college because for Halloween, our calculus teacher would give us like extra credit if we wore our costume. Yeah, I wore a full spandex.
That's a good incentive. Hey, you want extra credit? Just dress up.
Yeah, I wore a full red spandex suit, top, pants to college. Like, and I had like a stacked schedule, right? So I wore it to all my classes. Like, I just thought the confidence was wild. Okay, I was in my zone. I was thriving.
So Ms. Con, I remember you telling me that, and I remember Iki and Snow telling me about Ms. Con. What is Ms. Con?
I only went the one time. It's pretty small. It reminds me of RadCon, which is in Washington State. So it's just a smaller sci-fi fantasy con. I feel like they're kind of a dying breed, but they're generally held in like hotels instead of at convention centers. It's definitely a bit more niche now. They used to be really big and everyone was into sci-fi cons with the Star Trek and stuff. But I see them dying out now and being replaced more with anime cons. I only know they're still going.
I mean, and there's something wrong with that, but in the past few years since I first found about conventions in 2009, like a good chunk of cons are nothing but, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's usually anime and superheroes.
Yep. But there's sci-fi, and what was cool about sci-fi cons is at least the ones I went to, they'd even bring in scientists as guests. And I'm an engineer by profession. Yeah, they'd actually bring in like
that is pretty cool
scientists. Yeah, and they'd talk about space and stuff. Like there'd be panels where they talk about
I would love to just go to a sci-fi convention just to hear someone talk about space and engineering and everything.
And they'd have panels on like what's the probability of life on Mars or whatever from an actual person who works in space.
and I imagine with you being an engineer, you've incorporated some of that into your cosplaying.
Yeah, I definitely have done some of it. I made one of my first tutorials was I made this giant fan for Tamari, and I used trigonometry to calculate the number of panels, and I'm literally still getting comments on that video that are like, why are you using trigonometry? Like, I can't do this, guys. I can't
I
understand your
mean,
tutorial.
her fan in the anime is like, what is it, like, what, 3 feet, 2 feet big wide?
I made mine up to my shoulder when I'm standing. I think I went like 4 feet tall, but when it's expanded out, it's taller than me.
Do you still have that prop to this day?
I wonder where I put it. Oh, it's still back there.
Oh my. Holy, how much does that thing weigh? I remember you telling me about, like, I remember you tell me about like you cosplay you did, but that thing's got to weigh at least a good amount.
Yeah, it's why I don't cosplay Tamari anymore. Just because this is so difficult to carry around.
Whether you're using your crutches or you're in your wheelchair.
Or my wheelchair, yeah.
I mean, I just can't imagine trying to push your wheelchair and then just trying to hold that thing with like two hands.
I thought about like making a smaller fan that attached to my wheelchair.
That like something like in the back of your wheelchair.
Yeah, and when I was I think I was using crutches and cosplaying Tamari, and I just had my husband carry the fan everywhere. Like, and anytime we had to pose, I would hand off my crutches and grab the fan and pose with the fan, and then I can carry it again.
And we'll get more into about what it's like having to use your mobility aids for cosplay and everything.
Yeah.
So out of all the cons you've gone to, what's like been the biggest one you've been to so far in your past 10 years of cosplaying?
Oh no, I wanted to say Soccer Con, but I think Rose City is bigger. Rose City Comic Con.
Yeah, Rose City, yeah, in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, that one's like pretty big. At least that's the most crowded I've ever felt at a con. So
I mean, especially like if you're like in the dealer's hall, shoulder to shoulder and everything.
Definitely, yeah.
So as like always asking this, what sort of advice would you want to give to someone who's wanted to go to their first convention, whether it be a big one or a small one?
If you want to go to your first con, I would say take a buddy with you.
Convention exit buddy.
Yeah, a friend, or like, look, you're never too old to go to cons with your parents or your siblings. I went to all my first cons with my dad. Like, it's fine. You can do that. Or just a group of friends, anyone, even if it's someone who's not super interested in cons, if there's someone in your life that is supportive of you, then I would recommend having them tag along, just because cons are so much easier when you have help, whether it's making someone carry your giant prop or just like making sure you get to the right place at the right time, safety. So definitely go with someone else. It's more fun.
Nice. I feel like it's always good to have, and I know you always have, when you go to cons, you always have your husband with you.
Yeah, my husband, I've gone to a few with my dad, and I do have a few friends like Kira. She's been on this
shout out to
show
Kira
before too. Yeah, she has also started to become my handler. Like, we're training her up so that she can do what my husband does and knows how to like push the wheelchair and stuff.
I imagine sometimes when you go to big cons, it's not easy to maneuver around, whether you're in your crutches or your wheelchair.
Yeah, that's why I stopped going to Rose City, and why I've never gone to Emerald City is when I was at Rose City, it was shoulder to shoulder, and trying to get through with crutches or a wheelchair is just incredibly stressful. I'm not saying it can't be done. It can. It's just the anxiety it generates in me makes me rather attend smaller cons. So I personally,
and there's nothing wrong with that. Speaking of, for those cosplayers who have to use mobility aids, what kind of advice would you want to give when they're wanting to go to a con and like it's a crowded con in a sense?
I would always take the mobility aid that is, I don't want to say most extreme, but like if you have a chance between crutches or a wheelchair, take the wheelchair. So I'm an ambulatory wheelchair user. Clearly I can walk for like a short period of time. And I'm sure I could try to go to a con with crutches and maybe only last 15 minutes, but if you're choosing between that or a wheelchair or a walker or something you can sit in, always take the one that is more. Just because, I mean, I've been to cons where the line that you have to wait in is like an hour long. So you don't want to get to con. Maybe you can only stand on crutches for an hour and you spent it all in line. Just take your walker, take the wheelchair.
I honestly think taking, like, especially like you said, if you're in a line, wait, whether it's to get food or to meet a celebrity guest, I feel like I agree. Taking a wheelchair or a walker's easy because, like you said, you can sit down
Yeah,
while
because I
waiting
mean,
because those lines do not, from experience, those lines do not move fast enough.
no, and when I was using crutches, I was constantly on the lookout for, like, places to sit. Like, sometimes they have a, like, food area or, there might be seats on the side, and I just spend the whole time, like, constantly looking out for places I could sit down, and I'd have to take sitting breaks, and it was so difficult. My knees would swell up just because I was like, "I don't wanna take the wheelchair, I'd rather use my crutches." Because they're not as big, not as bulky. You can still kind of get upstairs in crutches if you really have to. um, but things have been way better since I started taking the wheelchair. Because look, if you can only stand for like an hour, then don't waste it standing in line. Like,
Oh
take your
no.
wheelchair. If you want to stand and move around for pictures or poses with your friends, spend your spoons there, spend your energy there.
Wholeheartedly. Now, a question I didn't ask
Mhm.
back when we did your disability one, how long are you able to, walk for before you have to start using your mobility aid at a
Um,
con?
I have a very dynamic disability, so every day is different. But if I had to just take a broad average, I think I could probably go like 15 minutes on crutches. Even after just a minute of standing and walking unassisted, it's pretty difficult. Like, if I'm heating up food in the microwave and I set it for a minute, I usually have to sit down while I'm waiting. So generally, when I'm within my own house where I can do things like crawl on the floor if it gets bad and it's acceptable, I usually just move from seat to seat, and I'm never really standing for more than like a few minutes at a time.
Nice. And I'm sure when you look into cons, like especially like cons you've never been to before, I'm sure you try to do your research as best you can, make sure it's wheelchair accessible.
Yes, yes. Thankfully, most venues, like if it's at a convention center, the venue itself will be accessible, and it will have, accessible parking, accessible bathrooms, just because that's like ADA for public spaces like convention centers. You have to be a little bit more careful with cons in like hotels. That can get a little messy, or at fairgrounds where it might be gravel. But honestly, just take a look. Sometimes you can get lucky and find con vlogs on YouTube. I
Which
do
you
con
do
vlogs.
yourself.
Yeah, and when I do con vlogs, I very specifically show me navigating the convention so people can see kind of what it's like. But a lot of cons will have some coverage where you can see, okay, is this something that a wheelchair could get over? And as always, you can email the event coordinator and ask.
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially when you try to enter a cosplay contest, you make sure that the stage is accessible. Because I know there have been times where you had that issue of
Yeah,
not being able to get up on the stage for your
yeah.
cosplay
I
contest.
haven't had really many problems with event centers being inaccessible or like the con or dealer's room being inaccessible, but it's actually pretty common that these stage events don't have a wheelchair ramp. It's gotten better in the last few years. At least in my circuit of cons, I've asked everyone for a ramp like 3 years ago, and now we're actually, we're getting to
It's
a good place.
no, and that's a good thing because I know there are disabled cosplayers out there who would love to get on stage and show off their cosplays.
Yeah, and it's hard when, no one else has to ask for permission to be in the contest or ask for a ramp. And here you are wanting to do exactly what they're doing, and you have to reach out to the event coordinator, ask for a ramp, which they might even deny at first. And you have to kind of be like, okay, well, it actually is not a really good look, maybe even ableist for you to not have a ramp for me, especially if you reach out to them multiple months before the
Oh no, definitely.
convention.
And I know not all cons are used to, having cosplayers who are disabled to,
Mhm.
go on stage. It's not really
Yeah.
common, which I would honestly myself would love to see more of. Like I've seen your vlogs and posts where, you're up on stage with your wheelchair and like I
Mhm.
feel like that gives, cosplayers out there like, yeah, I want to do that too.
Yeah, no, it's actually been really heartwarming because I've seen some cosplayers start to compete, at cons where I've advocated for a ramp. They've gotten a ramp, I've competed, and then the next year there were more mobility aids on stage.
Nice.
So
that's always cool to see.
Could be coincidence, but I'd like to think we're doing something good.
No, I wholeheartly agree, and that's always good to see. So on the talk about cosplays and stuff, what are your thoughts? Especially if it's cosplayer on a budget, what are your thoughts on thrifting for your first few cosplays?
I mean, that's what I did. I think it's great. I think it saves money, and if you have something that's already made, it's much easier to alter that than to make something from scratch. And usually it's cheaper too, because like fabric's actually pretty expensive. You can also get fabric from the thrift store, and I mean, thrift stores aren't always super accessible to disabled people, but there are a lot of resale apps. So I've made entire costumes from Depop or Mercari or other resale apps. And that's
really good brands,
really,
by the way.
Yeah, so I mean, you have a lot of options, even if you don't have a thrift store you can like physically go into. But starting with something even from your closet, just like a shirt, which maybe the character has a symbol on it, and you paint it, like bam, you have a costume, and it wasn't that hard.
Nice. What's been probably your most favorite thrifted cosplay that you've done?
Let me just like think of every costume I've made, which is like over 60, and like filter.
While you're thinking, I know you mentioned your dad, and you actually, speaking of your dad, you've actually made your dad's Orin cosplay, which I have to say, who's my favorite character. You did a really good job on making your dad's Orin cosplay.
Yeah, that was a big build.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to your favorite thrifted cosplay. I guess you're like your top 3 favorites.
Thrifted still?
Yeah.
Okay, so I did this outfit of Adora from She-Ra and the Princesses of Power.
I remember that one.
Yeah, so she has a summer outfit too, which was never in the show, but like the creator of the show drew it out, and it was super cute. And I made that in, I want to say 24 hours, just from what was in my closet. Like I took a sweatshirt, I tore it up, I sewed a quick pair of shorts, and that outfit was super cute. It was super fun, and it was like really, really fast. I didn't spend anything on it. It was basically free.
Nice.
Let's see, other thrifted. Does like reusing count even? Okay.
Yeah, I some people may not, but I count it.
I don't know if this counts, but my Queen Serenity used to be my wedding dress.
I remember seeing that one. Yeah, I remember you talking about that one.
Yeah, so I took my actual wedding dress from my wedding, and I, did a few modifications, and I turned it into a Queen Serenity cosplay, because like a wedding dress is something you don't really want to just like get rid of. So it's taking space in my closet. It's also something you're not just gonna wear. So I was able to get some more use out of it, which was nice.
Nice. I mean, I've seen someone take their wedding dress and turn it into Eunice's dress from Final Fantasy X.
Yeah,
the wedding dress she wears in the game.
Yeah, no, I think I mean, I just felt so bad having it sit, and I didn't have anything I could do with it. Let's see, for number 3, I did. So I have a series on my YouTube channel that's like quarantine cosplay builds, I think, because I did like a lot of these over the pandemic. So I also did Gym Leader Whitney. So I did have to buy like the shoes or something, but I bought it all used, and I put it together with my scraps. And so that one was also super fun.
Nice. Another question I forgot to ask about convention related. What is it like being a cosplay and convention vlogger?
Oh wow.
You'd be the second one to come on here who is a cosplay and convention vlogger.
Yeah, I also feel like I just don't see that many vlogs anymore. Like
here and there.
2017, like, oh my gosh, the whole con vlogs had on us in the YouTube space. Like that, like everyone was making con vlogs, but now I do not see as many as I used to.
You see a few here and there, a good chunk of them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong, but I get it, people want to enjoy the con, but it's nice to see those here and there.
Yeah, it's it's fun and it's stressful. Since I do attend a lot of smaller cons, just because, like I said, the big cons make me nervous, it fills up time, which is really nice. So if you're at a con and like it's really just a dealer's hall and that's it, then vlogging really helps give you something to do. I personally do cosplay showcases. So I will just roll around con, and if I like your costume or if you come talk to me, I will feature you in the video and I'll put your handle or
Nice.
whatever credit. Yeah, so it's also been nice just to meet people. Like there's some people I'm really close with now just because I thought their costume was cool and I asked them to be in my video for a showcase.
Nice.
So
I remember, I think one you did, a vlog you did, I remember watching it. It's while the con was going on, there was like a fair or something going on, and you got to record some of the
mm,
farm animals.
yeah, yeah, that was fun. That was Lake City Comic Con in Coeur d'Alene.
Man,
So
you go to a lot of cons I never heard about.
dude, I am like on the underground con circuit. I go to a lot of cons no one's heard about. It's just like, oh, this is a con with only 200 attendees. Let me go vlog.
No, it's nice to see con vlogs because I know it's also fun, and I also see you have like a wall of con badges behind you. Oh my, how many do you have if you can like remember? I mean, you don't have to count them all, but that's a lot.
I know it's over 20. No, not all of these are mine. Like I'll put my husband's badges on here or like my handler. But it's definitely over 20. I'd have to like really think to figure out quite how many.
So before we talk about more of your cosplays, what was the process that went into making Techna from Winx? Because I know
Mm,
many people may not know who she is, but she's from a show, from an animated show from the early 2000s.
yeah, so that's what I'm wearing right now. Techno is my favorite fairy. So I definitely got hit with like the Winx Club obsession this year for some reason, came out of nowhere. Um, and they wear just like really, really brightly colored outfits. Like this is a very hard color combo to find.
It
um,
looks like it.
yeah, yeah. So I couldn't even find fabric in this color combo. So everything on this outfit is custom dyed. Like I had to buy white fabric, dye it purple, dye it green, and then everything was patterned and sewn myself because this is an outfit that's just it's kind of hard to thrift. It's weird. It's like sweatpants, but not sweatpants.
They're basically like capris, basically.
Yeah, yeah. So it was kind of a weird outfit, but yeah, everything was patterned, mocked up, sewn, lined, and I think it's a pretty good looking costume for being so simple. It's also very comfy.
I mean, it looks like it. Did you also style the wig yourself, or
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the wig I bought was really close, but I did have to cut the side shave into it.
kind of like Vi from Arcane and League of
Yeah,
Legends?
yeah. I feel like this wig could also work
I
for her.
it would. So dyeing clothes, when especially comes to cosplay, advice you would want to give for someone who for dye clothes, and what method do you use? Do you use a bathtub sink, or do you use the boiling hot water pot
I use
method?
the boiling hot water. I have a giant pot. I think it was just from Walmart and it said you could fit like 35 tamales in it, and that was enough for me. So I just have a huge pot. If you're going to use the stove method, then I'd recommend having just a dye pot. Like you only use it for dye. Don't mix it with like food or anything that you're actually cooking with. Just dye. It's humongous. Um, the other thing is, I mean, really only dyeing like a yard of fabric at a time if you can. Otherwise, you lift this like actually like boiling temperature fabric, which is super heavy, and my wrist is just like about to break. So just a little bit at a time, guys. I mean, I've definitely dumped 2 whole yards in, and it was not great.
Ooh. How long did it take you to get the exact color? Because I know it's like a very, very light purple and a mint green.
Yeah, so I just do like test swatches. So while you know, when you have it heated up, you just put in like a little little piece, leave it in there for like 15 minutes, and you have another piece you leave in for like maybe 30, and another for maybe 45, and then you pull them all out and you look at the different colors, and if they're all too light, you might want to add more dye, or maybe you just need to leave it in longer. So that takes a while, especially if we're looking at like the 30-minute to like 45 for the test strip, and then you have to do that all over again for the actual fabric. So it takes a few hours, but I usually just like turn on a movie or something while I'm cooking with my giant dye pot.
Hey, I don't think I've ever asked about the dyeing question before. Now, onto your cosplays. I know you like to incorporate stuff on your mobility aids when you cosplay. What's been your favorite thing to incorporate on your mobility aids when cosplaying?
The Captain America shields I did. Like to this day, I think that is literally one of the coolest things I've made. So I cosplayed Captain America, and I made his shield out of foam, and it pops into my wheel. And it just, I can roll around and I have shields in my wheel. But even better is I can very easily pop it out and throw it.
Basically, it's a prop and a wheel cover in one.
Yeah. No, I'm actually gonna do another Captain America eventually, just because I want to use like those wheel covers again. I really think they're very cool.
That'd be cool to see. Like if you ever do, like you said, another Captain America cosplay. What material did you use to make the shields?
They're just EVA foam floor mats. I think they're a little too thick, so whenever I try and push, sometimes there's not enough space for my hands. If I remade them, I'd go with a thinner foam, but foam is just fine.
No, I mean, I know one thing from what I've been told, EVA foam is the cosplayer's best friend. Like back then you couldn't really buy it, and now it's just like you can just buy it in bulk.
Exactly. Like I still have the floor mats. Does anyone remember when we bought floor mats off of Amazon and made armor out of it?
The yoga mats. Yeah, I heard those were
Yeah.
really. I've heard stories of those were like really bulky and not as durable.
Yeah, they are really bulky, but like it's what we had, or like craft foam. And now you can literally go to Joann's and buy like the cosplay fabrics line of EVA foam and all these different thicknesses.
Oh yeah,
like, we didn't have this.
Oh yeah, I mean, hell, even international cosplayer Kamoya Cosplay has a book on how you can like use EVA foam for your cosplays. Yaya Han has her own line of fabric.
She has a whole aisle in our Joann's, like literally her own aisle just for cosplay fabrics. Meanwhile, I was stuck with like only 2 knits that were blue or something.
Oh man. So now a cosplay you haven't done in so long that you would like to bring back.
Oh, know what? My Riku. To go with my dad's Orin, because I made that Orin for my dad.
I remember you telling me that in your
yeah, I have a Riku costume. It's just super, super old. I competed it in 2017 and won novice. So it's like very old work from where I am now. I'd like to just like, I've even thought about just selling everything I had with this one and just starting from scratch, but like remake.
I think if you were to redo her, you would have her glove and that the weapon she has on her.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be able to wear my push gloves as easily, but I'm sure I could figure out something that would like go over the push gloves. Those are what wheelchair users might wear to get they have rubber on them, and that's how you're able to push.
I know she has like a fingerless glove, and then she has like this
yeah, the weapon,
the construction worker glove with her weapon on it.
Yeah.
Would you do you plan on doing her circular green eyes for contacts?
I don't wear cosplay contacts because my eyes are prone to getting ulcers in them, which is exactly as bad as it sounds. So I can't wear cosplay contacts, but sometimes I like to go on the computer and do like the little editing.
I mean, it'd be pretty cool to see an updated Rico. I haven't seen a whole lot of Ricos. I mean, I think the last time I saw a Riku, they did the Final Fantasy X-2 version of Riku, where she's wearing the shorts and the bikini bra thing.
Yeah.
And where her hair is all just like.
Oh yeah, that's an intimidating wig. No, I'd like to give her another try. My dad was like, "Oh, you can just wear your old Riku," and I'm like, "You don't understand. I can't." Look, that was from 2017, Colleen. 2022, Colleen's different. I can't wear this.
So as you're familiar with this, what's that one and done cosplay? Was the cosplay you were asked to do, you wanted to do, but you just weren't a big fan of it, and you've never cosplayed it since?
So I am a huge sucker for cosplay collabs. I love doing cosplay groups, and I now have a few cosplays that I made just for a collab, like just to fill in. And like, nah. So I did a Kishu from Tokyo Mew Mew this
Who?
last year. He Kishu,
Kish.
or sometimes Quiche. He's the main antagonist of Tokyo Mew Mew.
I'm looking it up. Continue.
Yeah, so he's like the creepy bad alien boy that preys upon the main protagonist. So it was way outside my comfort zone. My first time
Oh,
doing an
I
antagonist.
remember seeing you were posting update photos of
Yeah. Yeah, that's him. That's the boy.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing your update photos of him.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it was a worthwhile experience to try it. I think it helped me get better at like masculine makeup, masculine posing. I've never been a villain before, so kind of learning how to pose like that. But as soon as the collab was done, look, I sold him and he was gone. Like I sold him within like a week.
What was the hardest part for him to do, and how long did it take you to do that hard part?
Uh, Working with the brown pieces are like upholstery fabric, like for couches. That's never easy stuff to work with. Also, the wig and ears situation was a little bit hard because he has little like pigtails, but you also have to have ears. So like there was so much going on my head.
Oh, what kind of did you use, like the your generic plastic ears that you usually see people wear?
Yeah, I use the like elf ears that you spirit glue onto your actual
Oh,
ear.
those kind, not like the plastic kind that just fall off real easily.
No, I actually glued them onto my ear, and then I had to weft the wig in a way that the pigtail would allow access to my ear.
And I mean, you've cosplayed quite a few male characters, Captain America, and I
Yeah.
remember you did a Rock Lee one.
Oh yeah, I've done a few. I'm not like generally I just don't relate to the male characters quite as much, except Rock Lee.
He's your boy.
He's my boy. I relate to him. We're basically the same person. But most of the other masculine characters I've done have been for collabs, just because I love collabs. I want us to get every character, and some cosplayers aren't comfortable doing both feminine and masculine, and I'm like, I'm cool with whatever, guys. So that's usually where it comes
I
in.
mean, I've seen my fair share of female cosplayers who've cosplayed male, and if you didn't tell me you were female, I would have believed you were like a guy cosplaying, your favorite
Yeah,
character. And that's
that's actually a compliment to me when I'm like in my masculine cosplays and everyone's still just like, excuse me, ma'am. And I'm like, you still think I'm a man?
So what's been your all-time favorite cosplay that you've done? Like, it's a cosplay, no matter what, you always enjoy cosplaying it, no matter the year.
You know, I've always like whenever I've gone this question, I've always said Supergirl, but I feel like Tekna is kind of like outing Supergirl. So I've done like 7 versions of Supergirl. She's been my profile picture for whatever. And like
I
she
also
was
remember the story you told me about her cape issue.
yeah, I've done so many Supergirl cosplays. She's been so popular on my channel. I remade it because the cape was getting caught in things. But I don't know. I've been cosplaying Techno a lot this year and a lot more Wings Club. I think maybe I'm just getting burnt out on Supergirl because like it was a new Supergirl cosplay every year. It's what the people wanted.
I'm sure, well, yeah, this video comes out in January, so I'm sure for the 2023 year, you'll have that other character you'll be cosplaying nonstop.
Yeah. So this year it's been Techna, but all the previous years it was Supergirl, and that was just it's what the YouTube people loved. So I kept feeding it as long as I was really into Supergirl, but I don't know, it's fading now.
Now, as a cosplayer with disability, and you're more than welcome to answer this question if you want. Have you ever had to deal with any gatekeeping?
I mean, I've had to deal with like inaccessibility, which I don't know if you can call that gatekeeping, 'cause it's like
Mm,
physical, like I can't get on the stage if you don't have a ramp. Um, I've just picked my friends wisely. I have heard stories of disabled cosplayers who won't be allowed into like cosplay groups or will be told they're not accurate. Yeah, for real. But all the cosplay groups I've done, they've been like, look, you and your wheelchair, welcome. Like, we're not going to tell you to not have.
They're inclusive, basically.
Yeah, and it's just I picked my friends wisely. I did that huge Tokyo Mimia group as Kishu, and I used my wheelchair, and we were all chill with it. Like, everyone was able to realize that we are cosplayers and not the actual fictional characters. Like,
nice. That's always a good thing. I guess advice for those, because I know you kind of answered this last time, but advice for those cosplayers who feel like, they can't cosplay a character because, that character can walk and run and everything.
I mean, like, definitely give yourself time and let yourself feel through those things. I don't think it's something that needs to be shut down if that's how you're feeling, because it took me a long time to be comfortable with it, especially because, like, I'd like to tell you the internet is a safe place, but there are some real trolls out there. Like,
the internet is, that especially TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I mean, like, if you are putting stuff out online, yeah, you're probably gonna get comments of like, oh, well, Techno doesn't use a wheelchair. It's like, okay, like, whatever. So it just takes a while to get that confidence in yourself that you're just like, well, she's using a wheelchair now.
And technically you're not cosplaying a disabled version of that character. You're just cosplaying the character.
Yeah. That's honestly, I know people mean well when they say that, when they say like, oh, you're just the disabled Techna. I know they mean well and they're trying to make me feel better, but it's not great. Like, I'm just cosplaying and I happen to use a wheelchair and I want to cosplay Techna, and suggesting that I'm always cosplaying a character when a lot of media portray them when they're disabled at their worst or their lowest. It's kind of lumping me in with how we have those harmful stereotypes. Things like in Legend of Korra, when Korra is like at her worst, she uses a wheelchair. When she's feeling better, no wheelchair, but bam, healed. And I feel like when you just say you're the disabled version, you're really feeding into those stereotypes that everything disabled is defeated, bad, pitied.
Yeah, and I know, and I don't, I already asked the question. I know we touched up on, non-disabled cosplay and disabled characters. I know we kind of touched up on that a while back. So let's see now. What other questions do I always ask? Oh yeah, your biggest build cosplay that you've done, but that you haven't done for someone else.
Oh, so I can't count Orin, is what you're saying?
Yeah, we already talked about Orin. I'm talking about a big build cosplay you've done yourself.
Oh, I'd say my Her Universe build, if that counts. That was like my last.
Oh, the
big build, Carmen Sandiego.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I remember you telling me it was like for an event thing.
Yeah. So every year, San Diego Comic-Con hosts the Her Universe fashion show. So it's in collaboration.
So jealous you get to go to San. So jealous
maybe you've heard of them.
So jealous you get to go to San Diego Comic-Con. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I was in the virtual one, so I didn't.
Oh, virtual. Okay, all right.
Yeah, like, dude, they don't pay you to go down there to be in their show. Like,
so it would be nice. Would be nice.
Yeah, so I was in their virtual show that they did in 2021, and it's a pretty classy event. I think they had over 200 entries. Only 25 people get in.
And you were one
it's
of
a
those.
Fashion show, so you do a fashion geek couture design, and if they like your design, they let you join, and then you only have like, I only had 6 weeks to make the whole thing. I made it completely out of pleather because I don't know what I was thinking when I drew that design, but that's what I did. And I feel like it turned out really nice, and I haven't really made anything super big since then, so it stands as like my biggest, most current build.
It was, and I remember you were wearing that for the cosplay competition podcast panel a while back. That's still really impressive. How you said she took 6 weeks?
Well, she had to take 6
weeks.
But I took some time off work. I pulled a lot of hours. I was working before work, after work, every single weekend, putting in like 8 hours. It was a process, and I never want to be that stressed about sewing ever again in my life.
Oh man, no, I know there are those times where Which brings me to my next question. Have you ever had a con crunch cosplay? Like it was a cosplay you were just getting done a day or two before the con.
It'd be faster to ask which cosplays I didn't con crunch.
I guess which one was like that almost deadline con crunch cosplay?
Oh my gosh. So it's like I've con crunched so many times. It's hard to say. The one, so there was one in 2019, I want to say. I did Nami from One Piece, and it was her Thriller Bark outfit. So it's
I remember that one. It's the like where she's like wearing the green bra and she has her spear.
No, I've cosplayed a lot of Nami. It's okay. She has like a long sleeve pink shirt and a little black skirt. I did it a while ago. This is pre-pandemic days. But I didn't wear her very often either. So I don't know why, but I just decided I was going to make this costume. And then I was like, oh, Lake City Comic Con's only 3 weeks away. What if I finished her in time for the con? So I decided to start con crunching, which like, I don't know, like I wasn't even planning on wearing her to the con, but once I had her like half done, I was like, why not?
Well, now you're committed now.
Yeah, and I ordered 2 different wigs. Both of them were trash. Like sometimes the color of the wig on the screen just isn't what it looks like in real life.
No, because of all the lighting and everything.
Yeah. So I ordered 2 wigs. They're both trash. I ordered a 3rd wig from Amazon. It didn't arrive in time. So I ended up wearing this wig that like I really didn't like, and it slipped back on my head and I just didn't notice. Like I had bobby pins, but I didn't notice, and I was like balding.
I remember I remember you were telling me that it was like during your cosplay dance thing.
Oh, that was a different one. I've been balding a few times.
It happens, nothing to be ashamed about.
Yeah, sometimes. And the thing is, it's not like I didn't have bobby pins or I didn't have anyone who could help me. I just didn't know until like the end of the con day. I just look in the mirror and I'm like, oh no, how long has that been there?
Oh man. Yeah, that's never fun.
Yeah.
Let's see how so advice would you recommend if like someone's on a con crunch cosplay and they can't get their cosplay finished even on con crunch, would you recommend they bring something casual or spare cosplay to the con if they're still wanting to cosplay?
I'd just say bring something you already have if you can. I've really chilled out this last year. I used to con crunch like literally every con. Every cosplay I made was a con crunch, whether it was for an actual con or a YouTube video deadline. And this year I just got too tired. And now when I go to cons, I try to plan with costumes I already have. And then if I do finish stuff, sure, I'll switch it out. But I don't know. I think in a situation with that Nami cosplay where I didn't have the right wig, I think the better option would have just be take a different costume. But sometimes you're just so into it and you're so excited about the new build, you want to show it off. But I think in those cases where it's just when you're that stressed, like, just take a different costume.
That's fair. Now, I know we kind of touched up on cosplay competitions. What's it been like competing at conventions?
So I used to be really serious about it, and I used to actually like do the big builds and go for it. And it's a lot of fun. Like I love hanging out backstage. I feel like we all
meet a
get
lot of great
along pretty
people.
well. Yeah, I haven't really met anyone in the Pacific Northwest cosplay scene that I haven't liked. Everyone I've met and gotten to know has been really amazing. Lately, I usually just bring a really simple build, and I'm not trying to win. I'm just trying to get YouTube content. I make a video reviewing how they ran their contest. I am just also too tired to be making huge competitive builds. But I competed this one. This one's super simple, and I competed it in the highest level category just so I could, write a review about how they ran the contest, post video of me on stage, stuff like that. And it's a lot of fun. I get to hang out with everyone, but I don't have to make something over the top.
And if you would like to hear more advice on cosplay competitions, be sure to check out the My First Cosplay Contest podcast panel. So another favorite question of mine, cosplay mishaps. Ever had any prop something break, snap, fall off, rip,
Did you see I
tear?
lost my wig at this last Kumo?
I did not. I did not hear about that. What happened?
The whole wig gone.
Wait, what? Like, who was it for?
So I was wearing Nami, the other version that you were thinking about before.
Oh, the one with the like the striped
with a little
reebok
bikini top.
and
Yeah.
the blue jeans.
Yes, I was wearing that version of Nami, and I was in the cosplay lip sync. So I was dancing as Nami. I had a full Art of Wig grip, 6 bobby pins. Like I had planned it. Okay, every lip sync, someone loses a wig, but I was like, it's not gonna be me. Like I have a wig grip, it can't be me. But the thing about that wig is it's 2 Art of Wigs wefted into one. So I took an Art of Wig, ripped out every weft individually, and sewed it into another Art of Wig. So it's twice as heavy, very long wig. And the dance routine had some like hair flip headbang things. And the wig, it lasted a long time. It was a real trooper. But on the last hair flip, the whole wig came off.
It completely fell off, not just like part way where you had to hold it, but like it just
fell off. And then I had a big grayish look. So I pulled those off and threw those off and kept dancing.
Oh geez, you were a trooper at least.
I was pretty heartbroken. Yeah, I was really heartbroken after the performance, but I felt like it made pretty good YouTube content. So
with your permission, would it be okay to show that video on here?
Yeah.
Okay.
The lip syncs on my channel, or I also talked about it in the blog I did for that convention. So yeah, show the wig yeet on screen. Let everyone enjoy it.
And for those, it's not, you don't have to feel embarrassed about a cosplay mishap. It happens to everyone. I know there are people who will deny ever having a cosplay mishap because they don't want to talk about it. Like it's nothing to be embarrassed about. Everyone, even your most professional cosplayers, like your well-known ones, have had cosplay mishaps.
Absolutely.
Now, my all-time favorite question: cosplay and convention horror stories.
Oh boy. You know, I don't have a lot of like horror stories like bad people because I always have a handler.
Or I should say weird moments as well.
Well, I do have a horror story that's not about bad people though, and it's about getting in a car crash on the way up to SoccerCon.
I remember I saw pictures of your truck.
Like I'm gonna beat out all of your con horror stories. I've heard them all, con creeps, whatever. I got hit by a car. I mean, I was in another car, but like it happened on the way up to con.
And what con was that you were heading up to?
SoccerCon last year.
Yeah, what exactly happened? I remember seeing pictures and a little bit of your story.
So we were on the interstate kind of going into Seattle area, and there was a really big crash ahead. And so it was kind of like stop and go traffic on the interstate. So we were stopped in traffic, but it was still an interstate where people could go like 70 miles an hour. And this girl just wasn't paying attention. I don't know if she was on her phone or just distracted, but she comes up and she's still going like 30 something by the time she rams into the back of my truck. I was driving a big lifted truck. So I just got out of it with whiplash, but I did have pretty bad whiplash for like a whole month. I was on hiatus for many weeks. I didn't cosplay at the con at all. Like I literally unpacked all like my whole lineup into the hotel room, and I didn't wear a single costume.
I think I remember like seeing you just going to the con. You were just like you were in your wheelchair and you had like a blanket over you.
I had my favorite cardigan.
Yeah, that's the one. Hey, I'm really sorry that had happened though, and I've heard stories where people like will get stuck in traffic for a con and or their car breaks down, but like getting into an accident while heading to a con, yeah, that just ruins your whole con weekend.
Well, and the thing is, I already had the makeup and the outfit on because we were driving up Friday. So I was wearing my whole Queen Bee outfit, like the top and the pants and everything except the wig. I had my Queen Bee makeup on. And then like we get hit. We make it to Seattle because we're at that point, we're closer to Seattle than like anywhere else. Might as well get to the hotel. Anyways, it ends up the car got totaled. Like no more car. I didn't have a car for a while. I had to go see like a doctor, and there's all this paperwork. Anyways, do not recommend car crashes. You'll be doing paperwork for like the next 6 months.
And that says, I mean, I hope you still had fun though.
I did get to hang out with my friends. It was a bit bittersweet seeing everyone in costumes that I was supposed to be like matching with. I was supposed to be in the One Piece meetup group, and and I'd worked really hard on my Nami cosplay for that meetup, and then here I am at the meetup in like my little cardigan and blanket. Like, I got hit by a car, so I couldn't be with you guys, but my Nami cosplay's in the hotel room.
Did you cosplay at all for the con, or just stayed in just normal clothes?
No, I did not feel well. I still, like, because we had spent so much money on that weekend, we still went to the con and like watched the contest, and did as much as we could, but I couldn't cosplay.
Yeah, that's never fun when you want to cosplay but you can't.
Yeah, so that's my horror story.
So next question. Great, like your favorite convention experience. Like, it's to this day, it's something you remember to this day. Like, it's something you enjoy remembering at a convention.
I really liked the first time I did the lip sync on stage. That'd be KomoriCon 2021. Look, I've never seen a wheelchair user do a lip sync, or any dance performance at a con. Like, I just don't know of any. There probably is, but I've never seen it before. So, we're at this lip sync, which is, if you don't know what that is, it's just a dance event where you're in costume, you choose a song that matches your character, and then you do a dance routine. And it's a pretty athletic event. And I'd never seen a disabled person in it before. So, like, rolling on stage with my wheelchair, having the lights go on, having everyone see a wheelchair user has entered into the lip sync. And then when I go into that first turn, like, the screams from the crowd, the cheers, it was really great.
It sounds like you had a lot of fun. Now, is that the wig incident one too?
No, thankfully not. That's when I did Adora.
Oh, in her like her standard,
her red jacket,
her
yeah.
default outfit.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I did Adora that year. Thankfully, like, it went pretty well. And it just, like, no one had ever really seen that before.
I don't think I've ever seen that. And like I said, it will be nice to see more, disabled cosplayers who feel that confidence to go up on stage.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
perform it. I feel like it's definitely a confidence booster.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. Now, future cosplays you're either working on for 2020 for the 2023 or cosplays you would like to cosplay in the near future that you're like.
Let's see. I kind of want to do something for SakuraCon cosplay contest. Something, I don't know. I'm thinking of doing another Nami cosplay. Like, I don't know why I have to cosplay her like 5 times, but whatever. I want to do another Captain America. And I'm not really sure beyond that. I used to be really big into cosplans and planning out the next year, but I just never stuck to it, like, ever. I'd have lists of who I was going to cosplay, and I didn't cosplay a single one. So I'm generally only thinking like one YouTube video ahead at all times.
Well, I mean, which also I forgot to ask, advice for those who want to get into cosplay vlogging or convention vlogging.
I mean, you need to want more out of it than money or being popular. If you just want to be popular, you're going to burn out. You have to have, it has to either be something you're passionate about, or you have to have some sort of message you're trying to convey to a larger audience, something you care about. Because if you're vlogging just because you want to be a famous cosplayer and get invited as a guest, like, you're not gonna last. You're gonna burn out. I've been doing this for like 4 years.
Congratulations, by the way, of being invited as a guest to Mid Valley Comic Art Expo in June.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, that's good. And that's your first, is that your first ever guest invite for a con?
Yeah, I'm actually really excited because, when I started in the cosplay scene, I wouldn't have been able to even guest because it's not accessible. Like, look, it's a really bad look for cons to invite a wheelchair user as a guest and not have an accessible con, right? So, like, I just didn't think I even could guest at a lot of cons because they weren't accessible. And then for a con to actually reach out to me and be like, hey, we want you to be a guest. And, you can, if you want, you can do some disability and cosplay related panels, whatever. Like, we're going to make it work for you, is just huge.
I mean, I'm sure you're gonna have to like definitely plan a good cosplay out then for that. That's gonna be
Yeah.
pretty cool. And
Yeah.
now, where is the Mid Valley Comic Art Expo going to be again? I keep on seeing
It's
stuff about
in
that.
Salem, Oregon
So we'll
at
check it out. And
Fairgrounds.
it's in June.
Yeah, yeah. It's I think the weekend directly before Lilac City in Spokane. So I'm just gonna be really tired that June, but we're gonna make it work.
Look into that. Well, that's gonna be
Mhm.
fun.
Yeah.
So last question, and it's just any advice you just want to throw out there in general for those who are listening.
Um, I mean, cosplay for you, do what you want. I know it's like saying that is easy and doing it is hard, but like, look, there's always gonna be trolls out there. There's always gonna be haters. You gotta just like do
Especially in the
yourself.
cosplay community.
Yeah, yeah. And like, if you like something and you think it's cringe, like if you like it, you like it. Do it anyways, and you're gonna find the people who actually support you. You're gonna find the right friends in enough time, like there are people out there that are really great and really supportive. You just have to weed out the bad ones and just do what makes you happy. If you want to cosplay from a early 2000s cartoon as a fairy, then like, well, go out and do it.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I always like seeing someone cosplay as a character from like the 90s, 80s,
Mhm.
70s, and just like,
Yeah.
hey, I know that character. They may not know it, but I know who that is. Anything else you'd like to add in?
um uh, just thanks for bringing me back.
Of course, always a pleasure having you on. And as always, for those want to drop them links below so people can check you out and everything.
Yeah, Colleen Cosplay on Instagram and Colleen Cosplay on YouTube.
Definitely be sure to check them out. And if you're ever ever at a con, be sure to keep an eye out for them.
Yeah, I'm in the red wheelchair. There's only so many. Can't miss it.
I think that should do it. Again, Colleen, thank you for coming on to Cosplay Con Talk again. And as always, I'm Winnie the Unknown. Until next time, thank you for listening. And as always, thank you for watching.